Everyone, how are you doing? Daniel Spatz from California, beautiful California. After a few days of rain, we are back with Daniel Spatz interviews. I want to welcome everyone on board. Enjoy the flight. So I'm ready with Madison Harrison. She is a tennis coach right now, was a former she's there, college player. So I'm so excited to have Madison on my show. Let me send Madison the invitation. So, let me see. View request. Cancel. Madison. Hey, Madison. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to
Do
be
you
here.
have Do you have a tennis ball or tennis racket there or not?
I do in the other room, not next to me.
Okay. How are you
I'm
doing?
great. How are
I'm
you?
doing awesome. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes. How about me?
Excellent. Excellent. Where are you right now?
I'm in Florida, so I'm in Bradenton, Florida.
Okay. But right now, are you in your house, in your home?
Yes, yes, I'm in my house.
One. So you have a busy morning? You were teaching this
I
morning?
did. I did. I taught tennis and
Tell me, tell
pickleball.
me, tell me about that. I love it.
Yeah, so I actually taught at a country club this morning. So I work not only at my family's academy, but also a lot at a country club. And I taught first a tennis lesson, then pickleball.
Speak. Oh, so you're a teaching also.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, famous, very famous. Thank you, everyone. Actor from Mexico is following and saying hi. David Cepeda,
Oh,
he's a very
hey.
famous
Yeah.
actor, very model, one of the top in Mexico. He's watching you right now.
Yeah, I know him actually through Caesar, one of
He's
our
watching.
friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm very grateful for you to accepting the invite for my being in my show.
well, well, I really appreciate you having me.
It's great. Tell me, you're a Southern girl. I mean, you've been born in Louisiana. You moved to Kansas, right? Texas, then Mississippi, Kansas first. Now, Bradenton. But where are you? When someone is asking you, where are you from? How do you feel about it?
That's so funny. Yeah, because I consider myself from Florida at this point because I moved here when I was so young. But then it depends who I'm talking to because if I'm talking to someone from Louisiana, I'm like, oh, I'm from Louisiana.
Ah,
But I really feel like Florida's home because I grew up here and I mean, my whole family is Southern, so I definitely have that really Southern influence. But I also grew up at IMG and in the world of tennis and traveling internationally from the age of 13. So I also have that as a major influence. So I guess I'm a blend.
okay, good, good. Are you going back? Have you ever went back to Louisiana to visit?
Yes, 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 for sure, because we still have a lot of family there. It's actually been a couple of years now since I've been back, so I kind of need to make that time. But yeah, also I have a lot of family in Oklahoma, so I also feel pretty close to Oklahoma, I should say, because I
Good,
went to visit Oklahoma, I'd say more than Louisiana.
good. Tell us about your best memories, highlights of every time of your life in every state that you have been living. The
Ooh.
highlights.
Tennis, tennis wise
And
or
now
general?
anything you want to share with us.
Okay, so I guess Louisiana, my biggest memory is whenever my dad would be teaching and I would sit in the basket because I was so little when I lived there still, and I don't
Oh,
have a ton of memories. But that's one memory that still sticks out. And then Texas, I was always in nature because we lived in a kind of small town and there was a lot of forest and I was super adventurous. So were my brothers. So we would just like go run around and like shoot a bow and arrow at a random tree and just do silly stuff like that all the time. So that's more of my Texas memories. Um, and then yeah, Florida, I feel like I have
but
so
now
many memories.
how about Kansas also? You live in Kansas, right?
Yeah,
You
so I
spent
was
1 year in
there,
Kansas.
yeah, just 1 year, freshman year of
But
college.
why I was wondering, because I heard the story, but why only 1 year?
So I went to college when I was 17, and Kansas is really far away, and it's also really cold. And I'm a Florida girl, so I wasn't used to that and I wasn't ready for that. And so I was like, get me to some warmer weather. And so then I transferred to Mississippi.
How, how was the weather in Mississippi?
Not nearly as cold. We would have a snow day when it didn't even snow. So I never actually saw snow there. But yeah, Kansas was like ice on the road. My first time driving in ice, I had my door was frozen shut. When I finally got in my car, running late for practice, I start to drive and my car did like the spins. And I was like, I can't do this.
Okay, great. Madison, I heard that your dad was asking you when you were 8 years old if you would like to take tennis seriously, right?
Yeah.
Or social. If you will have a daughter, would you tell her exactly the same?
That's tough. It's really tough because first, like, I wouldn't want to force my daughter to play tennis. Like, if she wanted to,
Oh,
that would
oh,
be
sorry,
great.
or your son,
Yeah, or
right?
my
Yeah.
son. Yeah, either one. I wouldn't want to force either to
So,
do anything
so
really.
sorry,
I would
but
want
you
them to
feel
play sport, but
forced to play tennis?
yeah, no, I didn't feel forced whatsoever. No, we tried other sports. All of my brothers and I, we all played other sports too whenever we were little. But yeah, I mean, I would say the same message, absolutely, because it took the pressure off and it really allowed me to have fun rather than feel like this is a chore or something I'm forced to do with so much pressure and you have to win every single match. It was more process oriented. And if you want to be good, like, yeah, I'll push you, I'll make it more intense. And eventually I did say that's what I want, but it took me a few more years than I think my brothers. But I got there in the end.
But let me ask you, what means more intense?
Training harder.
How
Um,
much training?
I would always spend a lot of hours on court, but say like whenever I was younger and like I didn't want to take it. I mean, this is like when I was still 8 years old, so I was still quite little. But just more games, like more like laughing, having fun, like all the time, and yeah, like not playing as many tournaments, not making like a schedule, not like playing practice matches as frequently if I didn't want to play the matches. It'd be
Mm.
like, well, do you want to do this today or do you not? Whereas if, you're training more intense and going for an elite level, you have more of a schedule and it's like, okay, on this day, like you definitely need to play a match today, whether you want to or not, and you develop more discipline in that regard. So that would be like the difference is kind of doing the boring things that are necessary to become better.
And if you, let's say you, would you like to coach your kids if you have kids or not?
Probably not. But I mean, if they wanted my help, I would do it. But
Okay, let's
if
say you
not, I
have
would
one boy and one girl.
Mhm.
Would you coach uh, both the same way or not?
So it's tough to say. I think it would depend on their personalities. You never know really how they're going to be. So I think it would totally depend. And even with, I might be coaching two girls on the same court, and I might have to coach them completely different because they're different personalities too. So I guess I would just have to wait and see.
Group lessons or private lessons?
Again, depends what someone's going for. I think both are necessary at some point, especially when kids are younger. I think group a lot and like mix in more private on the side. But then as the level increases, I'd say more private one-on-one coaching. But you want to keep it fun for the kids when they're young. You don't want them to get burnt out and not enjoy it. And social life is really important, especially in an individual sport. And a lot of kids are homeschooled. I was homeschooled. So having that group aspect back then was really beneficial because that's like my only time that I was really around other kids. So yeah, as they get older though, you can get more individualized, I'd say.
Good. Uh, have you ever felt any jealousy from your brothers? Attention, let's say your father was more dedicated to them. Ryan was shining very early. He
Yeah.
won a match in 15 years old, right? When he
Yeah.
was 15, one of the youngest in the history of the sport to
Yeah.
win an ATP match. But seriously, deep inside, have you ever been jealous about uh, them, your brothers, or maybe Ryan at home or not?
Yeah, honestly, I was so young that success for them was just like normal to me, and it was always so exciting. and I never felt any type of way about it. I was just like, yay, like another tennis match, like great, you know? So I was really young, so it was just like the norm.
So you never,
But
sorry,
now,
you
like,
never felt left out.
no, I think my dad being the coach, he always did a really good job of giving attention equally, and like I'm a daddy's girl, so so I always felt like I got that attention, and he probably tried to compensate at some points in time, like not wanting me to feel left out, so would try to compensate and give me more attention in other areas, you know, which like now I can look back and see it too, but I don't know. I just think like even now, everyone's goals are like unique. Two people aren't going to have the exact same goals or the same definitions of success. So my brother's success isn't a failure to me. My successes aren't a failure to them. And that's true for any players, really.
And have you practiced with them? They were nice to you. I said, little sis, just play with us, rally, at least, you know, helping you.
Whenever we were younger, we had pretty different schedules.
Mhm.
So we weren't always, because I was still in school when they were homeschooled. And then by the time we moved to Florida, I was still 11. So I was still really young. And Ryan was traveling a lot. He actually wasn't in town so often. And so, like, again, we were just like on totally different schedules. And then I was attending school at IMG. Um, Shortly after that, I would hit with Christian a little bit more, but it would be more of my dad like ball feeding us. So like we'd be on the same court, but not always hitting with each other so much. And then whenever he was 15 and I was like 13 or even 12 and a half, actually, he started having all of his injuries. So he was out for so many years, then,
Mm.
you know, we really didn't have that chance. As we got older, now, yeah. So I went with Christian and oh my gosh, it was already a few years ago, but I went with him a couple of years ago to Puerto Vallarta Challenger, and we would practice there. He was like, "Oh, let's go hit. Come hit with me." And so I hit with him like numerous times. And then right here in my neighborhood, we have a tennis court, and he'll always be like, "Hey, want to go hit? Let's just go hit for like 20 minutes." So I do hit with Christian now.
Christian,
Yeah.
nice. Your dad just join us. So Pat, if you're there, thank you. He made this meeting interview possible. So Madison, why are you coaching? Why you decide? You have any? What is your degree from college?
So I changed my major a lot. I changed like 7 times because I couldn't pick one thing because I feel like I'm someone who's kind of good at a lot of different things. Like I love writing, I love being creative and artistic, and I obviously love tennis. And so then whenever I was in college, I also thought I was really interested in like biomedical engineering. I was really passionate about that, but it just became so difficult to do while playing a high level of tennis at the same time. So I ended up settling on kinesiology
Mm.
for my undergrad, which is still related to sports in a big way. And then my grad degree, I did education, so educational leadership, which is also relative to coaching. And I just always found my way back to coaching. Like I was like, oh, maybe I want to try this because I'm kind of good at it. So I feel like I should give it a shot. And then I'd be like, well, I don't love it as much. Like I love being on the tennis court. I love working with people and helping them reach their goals, making them better. And I just have that competitive nature and that drive. So that's how I stuck to it in the end.
Kinesiology, Andrew. Andrew, from your dad, uh, what is the biggest lesson you learned and you're still applying nowadays as a coach? You said you carry that in your brain, your philosophy. I learned that from my dad.
Yeah, he's pretty like straightforward and simple, and he would always just say like, do it till you love it. If you don't love it, find something else you love, you know? And like that's so simple, but like it's so true. You have to, whether you're a player or a coach, you really need to like love being out there because I mean, it takes work. It's a lot of like physical days and training sessions and practices, and from a playing and coaching perspective. So you really do have to love it to kind of put that grind in.
Is he disciplinarian? Is he tough?
Yeah, he's tough. He's definitely tough. He made me tough,
He was
which
tough
I
with you, or no? Always sweet.
mix. I he was really sweet until I would kind of have my moments of not being so sweet,
But
and then he'd have to get
you knew him, you know him. What made him mad on the court? Frustrated, upset as a
oh,
coach?
like two things. One, not trying. So like if someone's not trying, that'll make him mad. He's always like
Still
it
is happening now,
oh
still when
yeah,
he's coaching?
for sure, like now. And like if someone's not putting effort, because you're not only hurting yourself, you're wasting the coach's time, you're wasting your parents' money, and you're ruining the other person's practice. So you're really being detrimental if you don't put that effort.
Wow, I love that. You ruin the other person's practice.
Mhm.
I love
And that's
that.
what I would always tell so whenever I coached college for 2 seasons, there were just a couple instances for the like 99% of the time, they were awesome. Everyone always giving good effort. But those couple times that happened, that's what I would say. I was like, look, like you got to look at your teammates right now. You're affecting every single person around you, all other seven girls, and bringing the whole energy down of this whole practice. And so, yeah.
Okay, but how do you deal with a private lesson when the student has, I'm asking you right now, a low energy? Because it's very frequent. The kids are tired from school, lazy, lethargic. How do you deal with, how do you put them in the right mood to practice?
Talk through it more. If it's like one on one like that, I would just sit them down and ask, what's going on? Because, as much as people say, like, try to compartmentalize, and once you step on the tennis court, whatever else is happening in your life, you have to block it out and just be here. I don't really find that realistic. Of course, you have to try and you always have to give your best effort to do that. But sometimes, like, we're only human, something's going to affect you on the tennis court from outside of tennis. So a lot of the time, whenever I've had kids that are giving low energy in a lesson, it's usually something else that they just need to get off their chest. So we talk about it, and usually that
But what
is better.
if, Madison, sorry, what if I'm your student, right? Teenager coming from high school and said, hey, coach, how are you doing? I'm very tired today, coach.
If it's just tired, you got to push through
But
it.
what would you do with me? What would be the first exercise, something to put me,
Yeah.
right on track?
Yeah, I mean, I would still treat it like normal, like warm up, like the same, get your body going, try to work through it. And then I guess it just depends who it is, what we would start with in terms of drilling. But I would just try to raise the energy. I would probably overcompensate a little bit to try to like let them feed off of my energy. But yeah, and it might not always work, but you got to try at least.
Okay, I'm going to put you in another scenario. It happens with all the coaches. Kids get negative, pessimistic, upset, easily frustrated when they make mistakes in
Mhm.
practice. So the energy is good, right? But as soon as they make a mistake, there's a, oh, what am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. Private lesson. What would you tell them? How do you react? What is your first step?
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny because I really haven't had too many kids that have reacted so badly, so I'm kind of
Can I
lucky.
go
But
there?
I've seen
Because here every day it happens.
it. Yeah, I've seen it. I've been the one that's done it. So yeah. I usually try to tell kids, give yourself 5 seconds to get mad, let it out. Like it's okay to get
Yeah.
mad and like let the emotion out instead of bottling it in. But you can't let it spiral and cause miss after miss after miss. Um, so I just say like try to rebound as fast as possible, let it out and get back to it.
Okay. I talk about jealousy, but I didn't mention some. Your mom is fine. She's listening this or not?
She is actually not, I don't think. I think she's with her sisters. They're celebrating a
Oh,
birthday.
okay. But she's gonna watch this, I guess,
She'll watch
later.
later.
Yeah, it's gonna be my YouTube channel anyways. It's gonna be seen for so many countries. But let me talk about your mom, please. What your dad was the coach, father and coach
Mhm.
figure. How about your mom's role in the family when you were growing up and even right now?
Mhm. It's huge. She's like the glue. So I would say like she's the ultimate momager because she was always like our teacher. So whenever we were homeschooled, my mom used to be a teacher, so she was our teacher. And then she's just always like she knows everything. She's like Google for us. So, so she's literally like the
Tennis,
ultimate
tennis
connector.
too.
She doesn't coach, I wouldn't say. Like when she talks about tennis, she knows what she's talking about. But because she never played, Um, I don't think she gives herself that chance always, but she does know what she's talking about. I mean, she's been around it for like 30 years at this point. Um, so yeah, she doesn't coach us, but she does help so much with like rules and like tournament scheduling, all of that. She knows like every single rule out there and what deadlines when and all of that, who to talk to whenever you have a problem. Yeah.
Good. And so I'm a father of, new student, the daddy of one of your future students, and I'm 10 years old, girl, 10. Madison, nice meeting you. Yeah, I want lessons from my daughter. I want, listen, what I'm going to ask you. I want my daughter to get a scholarship in college. Just that, Madison. The the girl is only 10. What would you tell that guy, that daddy, with that first meeting? I just want a scholarship for my daughter.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, especially on the women's side, there's so many good scholarships available. So I
Yeah,
would
but sorry,
imagine,
but she's only
yeah,
10. My daughter.
yeah. I mean, if she's loving tennis, then like great. If they would get to the point in the future where she's not loving it anymore, then I'd say like, okay, maybe don't push her to do that if she's really miserable out here. And I did have a student that was like that. The parents really wanted her to go to college, play tennis on a scholarship, and she absolutely hated it. She was kind of I kind of forgot about this because it was years ago, but she really hated it. And I talked to the parents about it, and I said, guys, like I don't know that there's like much that I or anyone can do because she's really not enjoying it. But if the girl's only 10, then like still I would just train her and hope that she loves it and hopefully that she would love tennis and I would make it fun for her. Um, so yeah, I mean it's definitely within reach if someone's starting that young. So it's not out of the question.
Good, good. So I have Mariana Dracic. She's joined. I'm going to interview her later. She's in
Oh, cool.
Croatia,
Okay.
Mariana. Maybe you guys, you played pro? Do you
I
play
did a
pro?
little bit. I never played that consistently. Every time I would play like three tournaments, I would get an injury and be out for a while. So I only played a little bit here and there.
But why? I heard that. Why so many injuries? What do you, after, those years, what conclusions you
Oh,
have, thoughts?
long, long story, but the way that injuries were handled in college athletics was really bad for me. I was never injured, like at all, hardly till I was 19, and I pulled my hamstring. And again, like never injured. I had never stepped foot in the training room, and I was forced to play a whole season on a pulled hamstring. So that led me to compensating the way I was moving, and I tore something in my knee. Then I
Mm.
needed a knee surgery. And then I was forced to come back from that too soon. And then pulled my hamstring again, played through it again, hurt my back, had another knee surgery.
Oh,
So I was just like, it was just like one thing after the other because I was never given the time to recover. Um, so yeah, that was like a really
and
rough way of dealing with
yeah,
injuries, but
and
like more.
Madison, emotionally, uh, I think that was, to me, I'm guessing, very painful, right? Very difficult to handle, right? From emotional standpoint.
Yeah, no, it was not not fun, not
Yeah.
easy. But I will say, like, it's hard for me to sit back and like complain about it or say I had it so rough because I had like so many great opportunities at the same time. And just seeing what my brother has gone through with his injuries, like mine were nothing compared to that. And he's still out there kicking butt on tour. So, yeah, even though that happened and it was hard, I also am aware that it could always be worse.
Wow. Great. So I'm going to take you to the tennis court. Now, you have a 14 years old girl, with some talent, counter puncher. She doesn't miss a single ball. What elements you will add to her game to move her to the next level? What
Mhm.
exactly will, because she's a solid player, but she doesn't want to take too many risks.
Yeah.
How would
So
you
if that's the
how would you
situation,
coach her?
yeah, I would definitely get her comfortable transitioning to the net more and like attacking, just because even if counterpunching is your game, if you have a chance to finish a point at a higher level, like you need to. So you need to have that within your game and your toolbox too.
Just focusing on all the transition game.
And, like just in general attacking, like being able to attack whenever that ball is there.
Yeah, but what is the fine line between the chances of that player to be confused and losing a little bit of that identity? How do you handle that?
Mm, watch them play a lot of points and just talk through, each shot selection and say, hey, like that was a good one. That was the right time to take a little more risk or really go after that ball. Or hey, like that wasn't the right time to go for it. Like you needed to keep playing your style of game right there and not force anything and not pressure. And just, yeah, just like help them work through it and recognize when to do what really.
And now the opposite. You have a 15-year-old who hits the ball so hard. She sees everything winners flat. She goes for shots. How do you help, but still make, a lot of errors, but has some potential, Madison? You see potential in that girl to be even pro college. What would you do with her? How do you move her to the next level? Doing
You
what?
described me. That was completely me. I didn't know what spin was when I was 15. I had like the
So I'm
flattest
describing
shot I've ever
describing
seen.
you.
Yeah. So I had a really flat forehand to the point that I had like side spin. And yeah, so you just have to do a lot of consistency drills to get that ball tolerance up because even if someone's an aggressive player, they have to be able to work a point and not pull the trigger too soon. And again,
Mm.
fourth balls because playing that kind of tennis is risk reward and you don't want the unforced errors to start outweighing the winners with that kind of game style. So just letting that player know that like, hey, like we've done these consistency drills and you've been able to make 10 balls in a row. So you don't have to force that ball. And, just like remind them like you're capable of staying in a point. You don't have to force a winner too soon. Of course, if a ball is there to be hit, they've got to hit it, whether it's a return or the ball after that or whatever. But yeah, they just need to also know that there's a time to like stay in a point and not just try to blast the winner on every single shot.
Great. What is the main difference or differences between college tennis and pro tennis?
That's a really good question. There's so many. Mm, well, college obviously is team oriented, and for some, that's added pressure, and for some, that's an added pick me up. So, like for me, for example, I actually felt a lot of pressure whenever I had a team around me because I felt like if I lost, I was going to cost the whole team.
Mm.
So that's actually something I really struggled with. But whenever you're playing pro, it's all on you. And so that was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna play free and like give it my all, but at the end of the day, if I lose this match, I'm not affecting all my other teammates. So that's one main difference. Another one, mm,
From the tennis standpoint, tennis wise,
yeah. You
ball
mean like level
speed,
wise? Level wise?
power, what else?
Well, my senior year, I played one. So I was actually playing against girls week after week who are still on the tour right now and who are like killing it. So the speed was pretty fast for me, even in college. Yeah, I remember I played against Katerina Jokic, Astra Sharma, and Ariana Hartono, who are all still on tour. And I played them like back to back to back matches.
Oh,
So I was like, the speed was there and Hartono especially hits every ball like that much inside the baseline, every single ball. So, but yeah, I would say discipline in college is like really big because you're always on a tight schedule. You have like every second of your day planned out. You have to be at this place at this time, and if you're a minute late, you're getting punished. And so you're like really like kind of like a sergeant. And in pros afterwards, again, it's all on you. So like you kind of have to find that intrinsic motivation. Like you have to push yourself, and that discipline needs to like really be there for that. So yeah, that's another difference that I would say.
tomorrow you got a phone call from a professional player requesting you to travel uh, 40 weeks, 30 weeks a year in WTA tour. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. I love being on the road, love being at tournaments. Again, like I have that competitive drive in me, so like that is right up my alley.
So you see yourself in 5 years from now on the tour, or just working in a stable place?
It's so tough to say. I guess it just depends like where everything else in my life is at. And again, if I would have kids, I wouldn't want to do that. But if I don't have kids, then I would be definitely open to that and I would push for it.
Good. So, and have you ever been in one of the Ryan's matches in big tournaments, Grand Slams, US Open? I guess you were.
Oh
Do
yeah, no, I
do
growing
you
up.
suffer? Do you really? Oh, you were calm, just relax.
You mean like get nervous?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My mom and I would always sit next to each other at their matches and just like squeeze each other's hands. Like she would almost break my hand. I was like,
Oh,
oh, you're so strong. Um, but yeah, no, we would for sure get nervous and hold my breath a lot. But yeah,
and
I've been to a lot of both of their matches. I mean, I got to see Ryan play like so many matches at the US Open. I saw him play Djokovic center court at Wimbledon, and saw Christian play against Kei Nishikori at Wimbledon. So I've seen them play some pretty cool stages and matches.
wow. Someone in the audience, I have to thank you, Andrew. Who on the tour would you want to coach?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean,
That's really tough.
could you coach a man, a boy? I mean, in the tour profession, you feel capable to do it?
It's different. I mean, yeah, why not? Even though obviously if a woman goes and plays on the men's tour, it's not going to be the same level. Men have that physical component that's just too far. But the knowledge of tennis can still be there from a female to coaching a male, even on the tour. So, like in general, yeah. But and like again, whenever I've gone with my brother to his tournaments, he's always asking me questions like what I thought about his matches and how he's playing and if he needs to do something more or different or like how it looked from the outside. Um, so I definitely feel comfortable, especially having grown up in an environment with a dad who's just coached so many pros. And I mean, they come here and they just sit right here in the living room and talk tennis all the time. And I would just hear all those conversations. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely feel comfortable with it. But in terms of who I would want to coach, again, like it would be so based on personality for me because I would also want to be around someone who, like, I don't know how to say, isn't kind of like a nightmare to coach, I should say. Someone who, like, definitely wants your input and listens, and it's not always just going to be like you don't know what you're going to get today, which actually on tour, a lot of people are like that. So, again, it would just depend on the person's personality and if we click.
Great. Someone for the audience is asking you. My kid has hard time keeping the ball inside the court, especially short balls inside the baseline. Any tips? Thanks.
Yeah, so if you have a short ball inside the baseline, you have to also recognize like you're getting closer to your target. So whenever you're at the baseline, you're obviously further away, you have more distance to hit the ball. I don't know what the mistakes are, and I don't know how the student plays, but and my dad probably told you this. It'll depend on the height of the ball that's hit to you also. So if it's a really low ball, you need to add more spin. If it's a higher ball, you can flatten it out more, but really bring your target up closer. So if they're having a hard time keeping the ball in, bring your margins in. Aim literally in the middle of the court until you get comfortable making 10 in a row. And if you can do fed ball and make 10 in a row, then say, hey, let's bring our margins out a little bit and let's try to make 10 there. So just keep progressing like that.
Great. Paul Forsyth, right, Paul?
Oh, yeah, Paul.
He's there. He's watching from the beginning. Big hug. He's like a
Aw.
brother. Mari, I saw you improving so much in the last year at IMG. What do you do differently? Is the question from Paul.
So that last year, I was just training more. I was getting up before school and training with my dad, and we would always have another person because my dad was coaching all the pros at IMG back then that would come through. So we'd always have like another pro mixed in the practice. So it was always really high level, really intense, and I loved it. Like it was really fun for me. And so I would always train with my dad in the morning, and then I played a ton of matches. So I played a lot of matches in the afternoons. So that was kind of like my schedule, and I just felt like it helped me so much.
It's true that girls they like to practice with boys more, or not really, or not necessarily that.
Me in particular, no, but a lot of girls,
And what is
yeah.
your opinion as a coach about it? What is your take? What do you think about it?
Again, it just depends on the personalities. If you have someone and you're coaching them privately, it's your job to like satisfy them in a way while making them better, of course. If they really don't want to hit with other girls, then you got to find a way to find some boys for them to practice with, you know, that's just part of it. And yeah, for me, I just never really cared that much. I loved practicing with my girlfriends. That was fun.
Your dad is jealous. We talk about you, Pat. Do you love your dad a little or a lot? He said.
I, I have to say a lot, you know?
Pat, watch the ball, Pat. Okay. Uh, what is the most challenging thing that you face every day coaching?
Mm,
The biggest challenge.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's necessarily a challenge every single day that's like consistent. The biggest challenges would come sort of what we talked about earlier with if you have players who are just really
Mm,
negative or maybe don't respect you or something like that. It can be really difficult to like overcome that. Um, but on a daily basis, I wouldn't say that there's something that I show up and have this like major challenge every day.
great. Do you allow the parents to be on the court when you're teaching?
Yeah. I mean, as long as a parent isn't in the way, which I only experienced one time when I coached at a academy in California, and the parent was going a little overboard, and I had to ask them like, "Hey, can you step back for a little bit so we can get this practice done and not have it interrupted anymore?" Because there were other kids on court too. But other than that, I've never experienced an issue. It's actually always been like a pretty positive thing because again, like it's not just about like tennis only. It's more of a holistic approach that I like to take. And so I like getting to know like not only the student but their family too, and just having a relationship outside of the court as well. So to me, it's always actually really nice to have the parents on the court too.
Okay, couple more questions. Thanks, Madison, for your time. I hope you are enjoying it. I do, but I hope you're
For sure.
having a good time.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you have lunch already or not yet?
I snacked a little bit earlier, and I'll probably go get a meal after.
So you have to go back to the court now?
Oh, no. I'm not going back today. I'm done for the day.
Okay. So, what is your philosophy as a coach? Describe your philosophy.
Yeah, honestly, almost kind of what I just touched on with it being more of a holistic approach. Like finding that balance with kids. Uh, you obviously want them to be like fiery and ultra competitive and like want to win, but also help them understand that you learn more from your losses than your wins. So if they lose a match, like a lot of kids really beat themselves up. And I've noticed a lot of the young girls that I've coached are really tough on themselves, and they can get so negative and just like rip themselves to shreds just for like losing one match. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, you actually didn't play bad. Like, you could have done a little things different on some big points. Yeah, but like, you got to learn from it and also give yourself credit for the things you did well. And I've seen a lot of girls that don't really give themselves that credit. So I try to take more of a holistic approach in that regard. And yeah, again, kind of what I said my dad likes to say, like, you have to love being out there. That's the most important thing. So, yeah.
Another question, Jay Bourne Insta. Thank you, Burns. How do you know that? It's a good question. How do we know the coach is right for my kid? How do you know that? When do you know that?
I would say like you kind of have to feel it out. Do they have like a good connection? Is your kid listening to the coach? I always say, like, don't switch coaches too frequently. So don't go 2 weeks to one coach, 2 weeks to another coach and jump around. Like, you have to stick with one coach long enough to give it a chance to see some real progress. Otherwise, you're never really going to see that progress. So I would say give it like at least 3 months with a coach. And if you haven't felt like there's any sort of improvement or some message that's like resonating with your kid, then maybe try someone else. But if things are resonating and you see improvement, and even little improvement is good because it doesn't always just happen like bamboo growing. Then stick with that coach if it seems to be working.
Okay. Do you still talk to your dad about asking him for advices, feedback, or you just Tiburon Ramirez from Mexico, right? He's a Vamos Madison. He's there.
What's up, Caesar?
Okay. Do you understand Spanish?
I understood that, but that was I don't understand more Spanish than that.
No, you don't speak any Spanish. Okay.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, it's fine. Tell me, Dad, help me with this. Dad, can you give me some drills? Can you give me some tips? Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we're pretty collaborative. So not only my dad, but the other coaches that are out there too. Like for example, last week I was working with a player, Sarah, and her main coach is Jenny, who's one of the other coaches in our academy. And so before every session, I'll say like, hey, like I have Sarah later. Is there something specific you want me to do with her or want me to focus on? Because I also don't want to give the student like too many different messages. But absolutely. And then like sometimes if you notice that, you can see what's wrong and what needs to be fixed, but your message isn't translating to the student. Sometimes I will ask like, what can I say differently? Like, how can I word this differently? Is there something that you've done with a student in the past that clicks? Because like whatever I'm doing is not working right now. So you really have to be willing to put your ego aside as a coach to get that feedback and like put the student first. And ultimately it's about their progress and their success. So yeah.
Couple more questions and I'll let you go to Starbucks. So, how do you see, I mean, in your spare time, what do you like to do? Because I saw some videos, your website is wonderful.
Thank you.
You're very creative, very artistic. So what you're planning to be aside of tennis, doing something more, I don't know, creating a website or just it's going to be just tennis.
Right now, tennis. Um, I would see myself doing other stuff as like side hobby fun projects. Like I like doing home renovation projects. So like for example, in my mom's pantry, she left town and I went and bought like wood and like put it together really nicely to cover these like plastic shelves. So now it just looks nicer. So I just like home renovation projects. Another time she left town, I went and I changed the backsplash in her kitchen because I just like designing things like that. So she came home and was like, "Oh, new backsplash."
Okay.
um,
Tiburon Ramirez is asking you, I have a question. How can you improve your body language on the court? He
I don't
said,
know.
you have to answer that.
You got to tell me.
So you don't have an answer for him? How you improve your body
Oh,
language?
yeah, no. I thought he was just kind of messing around.
No, I don't know.
But
I have to, hey, I have to be respectful with the audience.
yeah, I mean, if you're struggling with negative body language, then you just have to kind of rewire your brain, like retrain your thoughts in a way. So whenever you're used to missing a shot and saying something really negative to yourself, that's obviously not going to lead to anything good. So you have to retrain yourself to say like, okay, every time I miss a shot, I'm going to tell myself a certain phrase and say like, it's okay, I'm going to get the next one. Or tell yourself something you did well. Like, even though I missed, I had good knee bend. Just something like that, at least something positive to keep yourself in a good mind frame. So then your body language will also be more positive.
I saw you watching tennis. So you were showing that you were watching a match, professional. You watch tennis very often?
I do. I actually, funny enough, I usually do. Last year, I didn't watch as much as normal, but this year I've watched a lot more. And
Who
of
is
course, I
who is
watch
your
my.
favorite player WTA to watch right now?
I've always loved watching Danielle Collins. So I always love just like
I
her.
heard it's
Um,
the last season for her this year.
she did say that. I did hear her say that in an interview, um, maybe even two interviews. I think I heard her say it. But yeah, she did say
I
that.
heard that. I don't know. I heard in Tennis Channel. I mean,
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know
She
her. I never talked to her. Okay. Okay.
But I always love watching her because she's so fierce and just like her energy is amazing.
What do you
And
think about Arina Sabalenka?
also love watching her. Yeah, I mean, she's so powerful, so strong, so aggressive, and I love that.
Serena?
Also, same. Yeah, like
Have
same,
you met
same.
her?
No, I've never met her.
Oh.
I watched her play a Wimbledon final against Radwanska. I forgot what year it was, but I actually was at that match, which was really cool.
Who was the best player female that you ever practiced with, hit balls, trained with?
Um, Martina
Wow.
Hingis. Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Really? Yeah,
Ooh,
she
I
was
love
so
her.
nice. Yeah, um she was whooping my butt. So I was playing actually practice points with her and I kept
And
leaving
how
one.
was it like but she was training, right, for the tour, I guess.
She was training. She was still playing doubles at that time, so she was actually like training for doubles, but I kept leaving one side of the court way too open and she just kept hitting winners there. And after like five times, she looks at me and she goes, "I'm just gonna keep doing that until you go cover that side of the court."
Oh, she said that to you,
Yeah, but in a
but
nice way. It
in
wasn't
a
like mean. It
mean
was
way
funny.
of or
It
nice
was nice.
way.
It was
Ah,
very nice. It was kind of like funny. Yeah.
that what a great lesson for your students,
hmm
right?
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, that just like triggered something in my brain. I'm gonna go cover that side of the court and not let her hit another winner there.
Okay, and there's someone who questions about your favorite drink in Starbucks. Which one is? If you have to pick up
Ooh.
one.
I switched between just Americanos and oat milk latte.
Another question: what ability is more important, speed or strength? Santiago
Hmm.
Aguilera.
That's a really good question, actually. I think it's really important to, of course, like have a combination. I'd say for tennis players, just doing a lot of agility and that first step being really quick, that's super important. So, especially if it's a younger kid, I'd say work more on like those types of movements.
Okay. And my question now, um, I'm, I love to hear from different coaches and players the answers and the thoughts. I'm your student going to the tennis match. I'm telling you, Madison, I'm so nervous. What would you tell me?
Yeah, I would just tell you like shake it out. Like you got to find a way to work through it.
How?
If you're starting a match nervous, then again, kind of like I described earlier, whenever that there's a player missing a lot of balls, bring your margins in, like hit through the middle of the court a lot, and really keep swinging out on the ball. Don't slow down your racket head speed. Actually, speed it up because that'll help you work through those nerves, and you just really have to work through them and swing through them. That's the only way. So keep going for your shot, but give yourself really big margins. And eventually, after three games, usually players will settle down. From a mental perspective, I always tell them, like, remind yourself that, like, you're ready for this. You've trained, you've put in the work, you have every reason to be confident going into this match. So just keep reminding yourself that over and over till it clicks.
Now, as I'm a father, I'm coming to you. You are coaching my daughter. Said, Madison, why my daughter trains so well? I see her in practice, but she can't translate that to tennis match.
Mm-hmm.
She's a totally different player when she plays tournaments.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot actually. Not just to me, but just in general. I know people say that all the time, even to other coaches. And the biggest way to work through it is just to keep putting them in that position.
Mm.
And so they get that experience at match play over and over and over. And then eventually, usually they're going to work through it. And it might take a really, really long time, but eventually it will translate. And so too often I feel like people go play like 3 tournaments and they're saying like I can't win a match. I'm just gonna stop playing tournaments for a little bit. And I'm like, no, that's the opposite of what you need to do. Like you need to keep going through it. Allow yourself to have some losses, learn from losses, and if you're getting a little bit better in every one of those matches, then you're on the right track.
Wonderful. And just the last question. I have 100 questions, but time is flying. Uh, what is the most important shot in women's tennis?
Mm,
If there is any more
yeah, I
important
know
than
that
the
there's only
others.
like one most important shot overall. I wouldn't say there's like one most important. Um, yeah, for me, it was just my kick serve and inside out forehand. Those were my 2 shots that I needed, which I know kick serve isn't part of every single female tennis player's game, even. But for me, that was key. So I think everyone's a little bit different in what their strengths are.
Okay. Would you teach, or you teach slice backhand?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because I heard coaches saying, well, no, women's tennis, they don't use slice.
Yeah, no, I've heard that too, and I've had coaches tell me that kind of stuff and say, because like I even would chip beforehand sometimes when I wanted to slow down the pace of the rally or force my opponent to hit from a lower position. I would even chip beforehand, and I would hit like a great shot and it would work and I would win the point, and they'd say don't slice a forehand, and I'd be like, well, it's a good shot and it's working, so why would you tell me not to do that? So yeah, like absolutely, it's such an effective shot.
Great. Final, give a sort of a advice to girls 15, 16 who are dreaming about college, uh, playing college first and then maybe pro. What would you tell them? You have a talk in front of 100 girls listening to you right now. What would you say?
Take your college visits, make sure you find a program that you feel like is going to be the right fit, that you have a good relationship with the coach. Because if you don't feel like you have a good relationship with the coach, it can really hinder your progress. And don't be afraid to transfer if the first school isn't right, or even the second school. Like there's always going to be another a place. And don't forget to have fun too in college, because so many people get so wrapped up in wanting to play pro afterwards that then they forget to have fun at the same time. And like you're always going to be putting in the hours, and if you're putting in the focused hours, I should say, like whenever you're on court, you're focused, then you're going to be improving. You're going to play so many matches. So have fun whenever you get the chance to.
And final, what values you took away from tennis to your personal life?
Mm-hmm. I feel like so many. Discipline, again, like handling failure and success, handling both of those things is really important, whether it be, say, I wouldn't be coaching at Families Academy right now. So I apply for a job and I don't get the job. You have to be able to handle that and keep going and keep trying to find the place that fits for you. So there's really so many college tennis, I'd say like working on a team. And I captained my last 2 seasons. So leading a team of 8 girls who are used to playing an individual sport that's now a team sport, and somehow getting them to be cohesive and work together for like work as one unit, I should say. So yeah, teamwork was also huge.
Tiburon Ramirez said, I'm very in Spanish. I want to translate to you because I think it's good. You guys are a wonderful family, the Harrison family. He's very thankful to you on and off the court.
Aw, thank you. Me too.
Okay. So, what are you going to do in the afternoon today? What are your plans for today?
Well, I have my dogs here, so I think I'm gonna take them. There's a nice park, so I think I'm gonna take them to the park.
Okay. And I hope when you're working with the dogs, you have a good feelings about the interview.
Oh, for sure. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Madison. I had an amazing time. It's going to be uploaded in the next few hours in my YouTube channel. I'm going to share the
Cool.
link with you, and hopefully it's a good memory, and we can meet sometimes. And if I go to Miami,
Yeah,
I mean
absolutely.
Bradenton, not
Yeah.
Miami.
I'll be at Miami Open too, so
Okay,
maybe Miami.
okay, yeah, it's a big one, and we have Indian Wells coming soon here.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, favorite male player? I didn't
Um,
ask you about that.
Favorite
Federer,
male player?
Federer. I'm going to go straight to the point. You go to the let's play around, right? We're playing. You go to the tournament site. In one court is playing Roger Federer, in the other court Rafael Nadal, in the other court Novak Djokovic. Which court you go?
Right now, since Federer's retired, I'd go to Federer. Right.
Okay.
But other than
Oh,
that,
sorry. And the number four, Ryan Harrison, is playing.
Joker. Is he playing against one of them?
Yeah.
Does that
Okay.
work? Yeah, no, I'd probably go to Djokovic. He's my
Djokovic.
favorite.
Okay. Tiburon said Madison, Tiburon Ramirez, favorite male player. Madison, thank you so much.
Thank you too. This has been really fun.
I love it. I had a great time. Thank you, and hi to your
I'll
family, please, for
tell
me.
them.
Thanks, everybody. I see you in a few minutes. I have another interview in 40 minutes. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Thanks.